giveaways. Oh, hello. Oh, yay! Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cake Talk number 6. Let me get straightened out here. I think that's good. Before we begin, I want to say thank you to everyone for my subscribers. I can't believe it was just last month that I asked for 5,000 subscribers for my birthday, and now I'm at over 400,000 subscribers, which is so amazing and so unbelievable to me. So thank you so much. But I wanted to let you all know, because I get a lot of questions about my recipes. They are all available on my website, howtocakeit.com. And if you click the link in the description below all of my videos, you can enter that way. But more importantly, just head over to howtocakeit.com and a little blurb will pop up where you can subscribe and become a member. And the advantages to being a member are you will get access to my YouTube videos before they are released on YouTube, as well as we do t-shirt giveaways. And like I said, all of my recipes are there because I know a lot of you want to try them, and you should. And also another thing I want to say before we get started is I'm actually a little bit sick. I have a little cold, so bear with me. I have some hot tea in my wine mug. So I will be sipping that while I answer questions. Okay, questions. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. Okay, lots of questions today. So first off, I'm going to say hi to Izzy on Instagram. What is the most time-consuming cake you have ever made? And it was also asked by Tara Penchol and Olivia.pi on Instagram. The most time-consuming cake I've ever made was actually the set of books I made on sugar stars. They took me almost 4 days because I had to recreate every cover and spine. And it also ties into another question that I read. Where is it now? Who asked that? Because I thought it was so good. It was about what was the heaviest cake I've ever made. That also was the heaviest cake I've ever made. I couldn't deliver it in one piece. It was 12 different books, so I had to deliver, I think I did 5 of them already stacked and then put the other 7 on site. And yeah, scary, very scary. So another question I have here. Oh, this is my favorite question yet. It's from @MCCP on Instagram. Hello, who are all your other friends with you behind the camera? They seem funny. They are funny. So the people that you hear in the video sometimes would be Jocelyn and Chet. Jocelyn is one of my producers, and Chet is the man behind the camera who makes all the shots look so good and makes my cakes. My cakes actually look less good in real life. His shots are amazing. So it's Jocelyn and Chet, but I also have other great people on my team that aren't in the kitchen with me. And that would be Connie and Rachel, who's always here in the questions, and Amy and Orhan, who is my amazing editor. So that's the How to Cake It team. Next question, let me get a question. Hope I feel better soon, from Vince in New Zealand. Thank you very much, Vince. Having a cold in the summer sucks. Okay. Okay, here's a good question from Andy Chen. Have you ever tried ermine buttercream, also called flour buttercream? It's made by making a pudding bechamelish mixture using flour, milk, and sugar. It's thick and cooled, then whipped with butter and added in small amounts like meringue buttercream. No, I have not. I have seen frostings that are made with that same technique and have a lot of milk in them. And I think I made a frosting like that a long time ago. But when it comes to buttercream, I'm definitely a fan of the meringue-based buttercream. So I use Italian meringue buttercream. My recipe is on howtocakeit.com. You should check it out. And occasionally, sometimes when I make chocolate buttercream, I like to make a Swiss meringue. But excellent, excellent question. Next. Okay, Okay, why do chocolate, this is from Vidya. Hi, Vidya. Why do chocolates get that white coating sometimes? It happens to me a lot, even in sugar stores, that chocolate coated marshmallow had it and you didn't put it on the table. Yes. Okay, so that is called blooming. And what blooming basically is the cocoa butter leaving the chocolate. If you ever overheat chocolate, then that happens. The cocoa butter seeps out. So those white lines or blooms are the cocoa butter. It can also happen after the fact. So sometimes you'll cover something with chocolate perfectly, but if you've stored it imperfectly, it will bloom in the heat. So if you live in a hot climate, this is something that's going to happen. Or if the room you're working in is hot, that will happen. That happened a lot on sugar stores because we would dip things in chocolate in my kitchen and there'd be an oven on, and this is sort of not the best temperature for chocolate. A lot of people avoid this by using candy melts because the reason they're called candy melts is because they remove the cocoa butter, which no longer makes it chocolate, and they replace it with another type of fat that doesn't bloom and seep out. So you need to learn how to temper well, but the temperature afterward is really important because it could still ruin even if you do it right. Okay, hi, Yolanda. Oh, from Marco J. Hi, Yolanda. Australia loves you, and I love Australia. Vegemite. I have a question for your chocolate cake recipe. I am making a 2-tier cake for my food technology assignment. I want to hear more about that. Bottom tier. Oh, no. Oh, no. I am horrible at this. Oh, no. I lost it. Why does it move so fast? I can't keep up. Oh, here we go. Bottom tier will be 8 inches and top will be 6 inches. What portion should I use? Okay, thank you. If you have a look on my blog today, I think it's being updated today. It definitely was updated on my orange velvet cake recipe. I have now made a chart that gives you pan sizes, round, square, rectangular, and then lets you know how much batter to pour in those pans. I can tell you right off the top of my head that usually when I do a 6-inch round cake, I put 1.5 pounds of batter in each pan, and when I do an 8-inch cake, I put 2.5 pounds of batter in each pan. So let me do a little bit of math for you. That's 3 plus 5, correct? 8 pounds. So there you go. I hope I've helped you out. Good luck, Marco, with your food technology. Okay. Oh, this is a good question from Cheryl Firebrace. How do you determine how many slices a sculpted cake will make? Yes, that can be really tricky, especially when it's a really involved sculpture. For example, if you were sculpting something like a car, because you start with slabs or your rectangular cakes and then you sculpt so much cake away, it's very hard to measure how much is left. Especially if you're trying to do that beforehand. So sometimes, unfortunately, with sculpted cakes, if your client doesn't have either the budget to make, a giant car, then sometimes what happens is you make a car and you put it on another cake, or you make the car cake and then you provide a cake that's in the background for cutting. Because if they're really concerned about serving, like if it's a birthday party, it doesn't matter because it's a lot more casual. But if it were something like a groom's cake and they're really concerned about slicing it into even portions, then the background cake is always a good idea. And also you can't control who's cutting your cake. So I often provide a cake cutting chart for people, especially with wedding cakes, and there's a lot of them online that you can find and print. But with novelty sculpted cakes, it's a lot harder. And sometimes the interior of them makes it harder to cut as well. And you definitely won't get even slices. There's nothing you can do about that. So I would say try and guess how much cake you've cut away. And then just be realistic about the portions they'll get. And if you feel they won't get enough, tell your client, suggest the background cake, and explain that to them beforehand. Okay. From Vidya, compound chocolate or chocolate with cocoa for ganache? Hi, Vidya. Again, definitely real chocolate for ganache. So compound chocolate is great for other things. Compound chocolate is basically what candy melts are. So I explained that in the blooming question that you asked earlier. So it's good for other things like modeling chocolate, because modeling chocolate can also bloom a bit, or sometimes the cocoa butter could seep out and it will get oily if you haven't stored it properly or if you've overheated it. So compound chocolate is a good thing to use in that. But when it comes to ganache, it's got to be a real chocolate. It's just so much richer and better tasting. So that's my suggestion. Next, from Tanishqua Sawant. I hope I said that right. In your watermelon cake, and the chocolate chips in the batter did not melt due to the heat in the oven. Please tell. Yes, chocolate chips actually have stabilizers in them. That's why you shouldn't make ganache, for example, with chocolate chips, because chocolate chips have a little bit of a stabilizer and they were meant to be baked as they are. So it's basically melted chocolate, they add a stabilizer, and then it gets like piped in those little drops that look like chips. And that's why when you bake a chocolate chip cookie, they stay intact. If you've ever baked a chocolate chip cookie and used chopped chocolate instead, for example, you will notice that that chocolate completely melts within your cookie. So that's why I use chocolate chips, because I wanted them to remain contained and look like seeds. They do sink, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, folding something or tossing something in flour before you put it in your batter. But I find that only works when whatever you're baking is really small, like a cupcake, because it doesn't bake for a long time. And it also works better when your batter is of a thicker nature. So if you're making like a coffee cake batter that's really thick, the type of batter you like really have to spread in your pan, because it doesn't just, it's not fluid enough to even itself out. That kind of batter, you'll find if you toss your chocolate chips or your fruit, it won't sink as much. But if your batter is liquidy, like the pink velvet cake, they sink. I've tried the flour method a million times, but if your cake is going to be baking for up to an hour, they sink. But it worked in watermelon because what I wanted was to see definite lines of seeds in the water. So thank you. Okay, what was your, oh, this is from Vince A. What was your best tasting cake you've made on How to Cake It so far? What was the one I loved so much? Oh, you know what? It's s'moreo. I loved s'moreo. It was delicious. I'm a big fan of a lot of different textures in one dessert, and that's what s'moreo gave me, because I had the crunch from the graham crust and the Oreos, and then there was something like ooey and gooey with the marshmallow frosting, and then there was the rich velvetiness of the chocolate ganache. It had it going on. It had everything I wanted. It had chocolate, but then the other flavors, like the cream in the middle of the Oreo and the 7-minute frosting, which are really sweet, were a good complement to the dark chocolate ganache and the dark chocolate cake and the outside of the Oreo and the graham crust. It's delicious. You really should make it. It just came out on Tuesday. You should make it. It's delicious. Okay, next question. From Catco. Have you thought about making a poutine cake? Looks like poutine, yes. Love your videos and your cakes, but they look so difficult to make. Love from Toronto. Yay! Torontonian. I knew you were Canadian once you asked if I was going to make a poutine cake. That's actually a great idea, and I love making cakes that look like other foods. And I happen to love poutine, so I think I should add that to my cake bucket list. It's on the list now. Kat, look out for it. Okay. So I love How to Cake It. How's Bob doing? From Erica Baker. Bob's seen better days. Ever since I took a bite of his brain, he hasn't really felt the same. But, you know, he's a minion, so he's still like really, really, really cheery. It's still not that helpful, but he's good. He's got a lot of friends. Okay. I have a question from Watermelon. Can I add jam to flavor meringues? I'm going to say no, because that's quite a lot of liquid to add to your meringue. If you're talking about making meringues and baking them, that's quite a lot of liquid. And to get a lot of flavor, you're going to want to add quite a bit of jam. You could add it afterward. You could sandwich 2 meringues together with with a bit of jam, but you definitely want a really thick and sticky jam. You don't want it to be too watery in any way because it'll just slip off of each other. But I would say no, unless you're gonna just you could brush a little on the top before you bake it, but I really think that's going to cause your meringue to sink because you're adding something heavier on top. But you know what I say? I say try it out. Next time you make some meringues, take a little bit of your mix, try it out. You got nothing to lose. I mean, even if they don't bake well and look good, they're probably going to taste good. So next question from Ba-J, B-A-J. I love your channel so much. Greetings from Germany. Sorry, I know that's not a question, but I had to say hello to Germany because I'm half German, so. Hello, hello. Next question from MyTube. When did you first start YouTube? How to cake it? We started in February of this year. And it's been such a wild ride. And I thank everybody for watching and for participating and for being here. Okay, so now, let me see. Oh, from Vince A. Is anything in your background a cake? That's a great idea, Vince. That's what I should do. I should put cakes behind me and then have you all guess which one is cake. Yes. Thank you, Vince. From Emma OSK1. What do you do with your cakes after you make them? Do you just throw them away? Absolutely not. No, I don't throw them away. I have a crew that I share them with. My mom and my sister and my husband and my son. Sometimes I call my friends if there's really a lot left, and all my friends have kids, so I give it to them. Everybody wants cake. There's absolutely never a reason to throw away cake. Period. Period. Okay, so let me go back to Instagram. Let's see if there's anything. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I have so many. Wow, so many questions. Okay. Oh, here's a question from Ariana's.re.art on Insta. Why do you like to decorate cakes in the first place? What do you get out of being a baker? I would say that I'm somebody who's always loved to see a transformation, if that makes sense. So to me, it's so satisfying that I could bake chocolate cake or vanilla cake and start off with nothing but a round or a square and turn it into something that people recognize. I find it so satisfying and so much fun. And it is hard work. A lot of people just see the finished product and think, oh, like it's a cake, but it took me days. It's a lot of hard work, but I live to see the finished product, and I really love to see people's reactions. So before it was always just, my client's reaction that I saw when I would deliver the cake, which is so fulfilling to me and makes me so happy. And now I get to see and hear all of your reactions, which is so amazing and very fulfilling to me. So thank you. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of questions. Oh, wow. Okay, from Armand, who's South African. I love South Africa. That's where I went on my honeymoon. Got a pin in my map. What is the scariest thing about a cake? The scariest thing about a cake would be transporting it. Hands down. Not all cakes are scary to transport. Some of them are easy if it's just one tier, for example, and it's not so heavy. But when you get into sculpted cakes or really high tiered cakes or cakes that are top heavy, it is terrifying, and I've never gotten used to it. You can ask my husband actually delivers cakes with me. He drives, and I either hold part of it while part of it is in the back, and I find it terrifying. Terrifying. It's like I'm on a roller coaster when we take those car rides, because I just sit in the car like until we get there. And I've never gotten used to it. It's very scary because I've poured so much work and attention into something, and to think that the littlest bump or a quick turn could change that. I need some wood to knock on. Here we go. Okay, so, okay, here we go. Hi, Yolanda. This is from Marco J. Again, hi. Hi, Yolanda. Thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. Another question for my assignment. It will be covered in buttercream, his cake, and I want to make a ganache drip on the top tier. What ratio of chocolate and cream should I use so it's not too runny? I like to use 1:1. That's what I use. Actually, you should rewatch my candy cake video because I pour pink white chocolate ganache onto my cake. And another great tip is make sure it's absolutely not hot or warm or lukewarm at all, and make sure that your cake is very cold. And what I did, instead of pouring, I know it has the look like you just poured it on, but once you pour, you can't control it. It's like a waterfall. So I put mine into a piping bag, and I sort of helped guide the drips. And I find that really, really helpful. And then you can use an offset palette knife to sort of smooth out your top, but you'll find it should smooth out on its own, unless, of course, your ganache is getting too cold to pour. Okay, so, okay. Oh, here's a good question from Eamon Kuram. Do you like any food in the world more than cake? You know what? I have an equal sweet and sour tooth. So as much as I love cake and dessert, I also love things like pickles and mustard and vinegar. Love it. Love sour. Okay. Here we go. Oh, from Gunnar. Oh, I hope I'm saying your name right. From Gunnar's Sika. Hello from Latvia. Hello. Loving your channel. You are awesome. P.S. Could you make something Harry Potter or supernatural? I get a ton of Harry Potter requests. Harry Potter fans are serious. So I think Harry Potter's definitely going to go on the list. Here's another question again from Tanishqa Sawat. I hope I'm saying your name right. From Mumbai. Can you make a burger cake or a pizza cake or the best one, a Beyonce related cake? Well, you're going to get your pizza cake wish very soon. I've made a burger cake in the past. I'm pretty sure the picture of it is up on my Facebook page, which is How to Cake It with Yolanda Gampp and Beyonce. I mean, what I want is to make a Beyonce cake for Beyonce and then eat it with Beyonce. So let's put that out there. And let's hope it happens. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. It's from Vidya once again. Do you ever get frustrated while working on a cake, especially if it has a lot of details? Absolutely. Absolutely. Cakes can be really, food is food. It has its own temperament and everything affects it, especially the temperature that you're working in. So you might set out to do something and think it will take you, this much time, and then it's too hot in your kitchen or it's too cold in your kitchen or whatever might be happening. And everything I say, my biggest piece of advice to anyone who wants to do this is you really need to have patience. Because even when you watch my videos, you're seeing a video that might be 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But in reality, every minute you see has been an hour. So they take a long time and they require patience. And they also require you to be able to think on your feet and have a plan B if something didn't work out the way you thought it would. Almost every single cake other than, oh, I can't even ruin that because it hasn't come out yet. But almost every single cake I've made on How to Cake It, I haven't ever made before. And so I'm making it for you guys the first time. And so I have to be patient. I have to go with the flow. And now I'm being taped while doing it. So yes, I get frustrated, but I try to keep that under control because I love what I do. Okay, next. Okay, let me go back to Instagram. Oh, here we go. From Ibuka_UD on Instagram. Hi, Yolanda. Please can you talk about the proper way to use dowels for stacking cakes? What should a beginner know to avoid collapsed cakes? Merci beaucoup, Cake Sensei. Cake Sensei. That's a t-shirt idea right there. And I should wear like a black belt. Yes. I don't know if I'm a black belt. I'm getting ahead of myself, but some kind of belt. Yes, Dowling. Okay, so Dowling, when it comes to wedding cakes or traditionally tiered cakes where each tier gets smaller on the way up, Dowling is fairly simple. My general rules are I use about one dowel to represent each inch that the cake is. So for example, if I was stacking a 9-inch cake on top of a 12-inch cake, I would put 9 dowels into that 12-inch cake to hold up that 9-inch cake. And what I would do is create a circle like a clock, and I would do 8 dowels in that circle and then 1 in the center. Sometimes, depending on the cake, it's necessary to run 1 entire dowel through the whole cake. In that case, I would leave out that center dowel. If the 9-inch cake, let's say, was higher, so therefore heavier, or if it was some kind of a shape going onto the 12-inch cake, then I might up those dowels to 12 to be safe rather than sorry. Where doweling gets tricky is when you start to work with novelty and shaped cakes, because it's really dependent on where the weight lies. You know, if more of the weight is on one end, then you need to put more dowels there. Also, height is a factor. So generally, dowels are inserted into a cake for every 4 or 6 inches of height on a cake. So if you know you're building a cake that's 8 inches tall, then you should definitely have 1 set of dowels in a board. But if that cake was really thin, for example, my Tim Hortons cake, I did dowels every 3 inches because I knew the cup was more tapered and smaller at the bottom and therefore heavier at the top. And you will notice if you don't dowel, if any of you out there have ever made a cake and didn't dowel because you felt perhaps you didn't need it, your cake just sort of collapses on itself. So to put in all that hard work and effort and then have your cake fall to the ground would be really heartbreaking. So dowels, there's no reason to fear dowels. They are made for cakes. They are food safe. And even the boards in between, it's just a cake board. So when you buy a regular cake, it comes on a cake board anyway, and you don't eat that board. So the same goes when the cake board is, you know, underneath tiers of the cake, you don't eat that board, and it just helps you to cut it. Then you remove the board, and then you pull out the dowels, and you move on to cutting the next cake. Okay, so sorry. From Iman Kuram again. How do you stop yourself from eating the whole cake? Love your videos. Yep. I have to stop myself because I love cake. And thank goodness now I have people to share it with. When I make cakes for clients, I obviously can't eat them because that wouldn't be appropriate to deliver a cake without a slice. So I try to have 1 slice and then share. And it's like a party after every video. I'm going to answer 1 more question, and then I have got to get filming another fun episode of How to Cake It. Okay. Who inspired you to get into caking? If you could make them a thank you cake, what would it be? And that's from Audrey M. Wow. Well, I would definitely say my dad inspired me to get into baking. I started decorating cakes just after he passed away, actually, and I often feel so sad that he never got to see such a big part of my life. I do think he can see it wherever he is, but so I've never made him a decorated cake. What would I make him? I would make him something that looked like something made out of wood, because my dad loved woodworking and loved building things out of wood, so I probably would cake one of his woodworking creations if I could. So that's it for today. Please join me again next Cake Talk, which would be August 10th. No, sorry, September 10th. I just want it to be August again. September 10th, winter's coming. So, and once again, remember to head to howtocakeit.com. My recipes are there, access to YouTube videos before they go live on YouTube, and t-shirts. Oh my God. Hello, look at this one. I wore it. I love this. I love this. It's up now. T-shirts and giveaways, and we have so many fun things in store. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question, but I will be back. Bye, everyone.